Seva has been a catalyst in curing cataract blindness for millions of people around the world. It's like an eye think tank.
Blindness is a particularly needless and devastating part of AIDS. But here's a chance to do something about blindness in AIDS, so it's a natural for Seva.
That's where my work preventing AIDS-related blindness comes into the picture.
This is a project about AIDS. In San Francisco, it was a real plague that more or less got under control in 1995 or 6 when we developed good pills to suppress the AIDS virus. But before that, patients would have their immune system totally collapse and they'd be vulnerable to all sorts of terrible infections. And one of the worst was a virus that's actually in the herpes family called CMV, or cytomegalovirus. And up to a third of the patients before 1995 in San Francisco got this infection. And then it disappeared. We developed good treatment for HIV. Well, what about the 34 million other people with AIDS that aren't in places like San Francisco?
The infection can cause blindness, and people in poverty-stricken regions around the world are still desperately struggling. They are the reason I chase the AIDS epidemic where it still rages in remote parts of the world. In 2006, I went to Burma, which has the worst AIDS epidemic in all of Southeast Asia. Young adults there are still going blind from CMV retinitis. In Burma, it was such a problem, I didn't really know where to start.
They assigned a woman named Nini Tun to work with me. Initially, I totally discounted her because she looked like a giggly 16-year-old. I did bring an indirect ophthalmoscope that I gave to her.
I remember I don't see anything. The first day, really, I don't see anything. I was really, oh my God. Maybe I don't have talent for it.
Well, Nini watched me for a day or two, and on Tuesday night, she took the indirect home and she bribed her younger sister. She said, "I'll buy you a new blouse if you let me practice on you."
So I tried on her the whole night. And try on. Finally, I saw the optic nerve. I was so happy. And I was like, oh my God, I saw it.
I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. I was totally knocked out.
Nini, in 2 days, was able to catch on to something it had taken me 6 months to learn. At the same time as I was being dazzled with Nini's talent, I was also being overwhelmed with how many patients needed to be treated immediately or they would go blind. Up to that time, CMV retinitis had never been treated in Burma. So I did something that actually at the time frightened me. I taught Nini how to inject the anti-CMV medication directly into the eye. Now, up until that moment, no one had ever dreamed that eye injections could be done by any doctor but an ophthalmologist. The very first patient Nini treated, Da Win, came to the clinic already blind in her right eye and with a horrible infection in the left eye that I was certain would totally blind her. When I went back to Burma, I didn't recognize our patient. With 5 injections, Nini had saved her sight. Da Win not only recovered, but made a full new life. After Nini's success, we began working with other young AIDS clinicians. Gradually, we distilled into a 4-day workshop, something that doctors in the United States learn over the course of 6 years. And we taught these Burmese doctors to provide treatment at just a fraction of what it cost in the United States.
The
I work in Burma has been extraordinary. We now have in the AIDS treatment in Burma, part of the primary care is eye screening for CMV retinitis. And that's in the whole country. That means that an AIDS patient with CMV retinitis in Burma, one of the world's poorest countries, has a better chance of avoiding blindness than any place outside of the United States or Western Europe. Because it worked in Burma, the workshop model has been extended to the 3 provinces in China with the worst AIDS epidemics, and also to St. Petersburg, Russia, which is the epicenter of a rapidly growing epidemic in Eastern Europe. But we're still a long way from what we need to do. A third of the patients who get CMV retinitis don't survive. CMV makes the underlying AIDS problem much worse. It's like adding gasoline to a fire. Eye injections prevent blindness, but they don't prevent mortality. Now, our focus is on how to bring care up to Western standards. If you just put the right pieces together, this one small problem we can solve. This is not going to eliminate blindness in the world. This is not going to lead to world peace. But this one problem that's real. This is something we can solve.